Hello everyone, here we are with another video update, something a bit different this time. I've been focusing all along on my vinyl collection, so now I'm going to show you a small selection of my CDs. Now like a lot of you, I'm sure, I don't really buy a lot of CDs anymore. It would mainly tend now to be downloads or vinyl. But I still occasionally pick up the odd CD box set. Some recent ones I'm going to show you here, as well as some other ones that I've had for a while. I'll start off with this CD by a band that I've introduced you to before. They are KXP, a band from Finland. This is their debut album, their self-titled debut album from I think about 2 years ago. I've seen them live, saw them live last year, and they have a new album out at the moment as well, KXP2, which I have on vinyl too. And yeah, so if you're not familiar with them, they're really worth checking out. They kind of do a kind of contemporary updating of the kind of Krautrock influence, dub. There's an interesting kind of a sound going on. Second off, this is a compilation CD which came out last year, and this is called Strange Passion from Finders Keepers Records, and it is explorations in Irish post-punk, DIY and electronic music 1980 to 83, and it says exactly what it says on the tin. So it's a collection of mostly very obscure post-punk music from Ireland. A lot of it previously unreleased. Now a lot of the bands on it, I have to say, I hadn't heard of before. The Virgin Prunes are on there. Probably mostly be familiar with them. And oh, there's some really interesting stuff here. It's kind of you know, a kind of story of, you know, like Ireland in the early 80s. It was very it didn't have the same kind of support for bands, say, that would have been in, say, London or wherever. Like, so a lot of, you know, these bands, they just released one single, or a lot of the stuff here actually wasn't released at all, and it's only now that it's being compiled and released on this album. So it's well worth checking out. It's from Finders Keepers Records, as I said. Next off, this is by 23 Skidoo. They were you know, part of the kind of industrial music scene in the early 80s. They kind of then they kind of broadened out into kind of, you know, include world music and kind of Far Eastern gamelan music. This is a promo CD that I got from got off Discogs. It's from Ronan Records, and this originally came out in 1982. It's a really interesting record. you know, their music is kind of a bit, you know, it's a bit some of it can be a bit challenging, but a lot of it is quite kind of funky and kind of dance orientated, I suppose, you know. Now this is Noi. Okay, let's leave that. This is Noi's debut album. Doesn't need any introduction, I suppose. This is a reissue on Groenland Records, and they've done a lot of reissues of a lot of the you know, a lot of classic Krautrock or experimental German 70s music. Also Noi 2 on the same label. Now another label who specialise in a lot of interesting kind of reissues are Soul Jazz Records, and this is In the Beginning There Was Rhythm, and it features again 23 Skidoo, Certain Ratio, Gang of Four, the Human League, early Human League, and it's kind of compiling, you know, the kind of English post-punk music that kind of was kind of influenced, I suppose, a bit by kind of, you know, funk, by black American music, that kind of incorporated that sound and kind of, I suppose, in a way led to kind of, you know, kind of influenced, you know, the latter dance music of the 80s and 90s. Really interesting compilation. There's especially I think This Heat. I wasn't too familiar with them before this, but there's a really interesting track by them on here, and there's a really good booklet as well comes with it, which kind of, you know, gives you a bit more information on the whole scene of the time, and the you know, kind of how this how the kind of bands, you know, how the kind of sound evolved. You know, there's a lot of influence from reggae and dub as well, as you can see there, King Tubby. So that's In the Beginning There Was Rhythm by Soul Jazz. Now another very crucial compilation by Soul Jazz Records is this Deutsche Elektronische Musik, and I'm sure a lot of you will be familiar with this. Came out 3 years ago, and this was my big introduction to the kind of Krautrock, or kind of experimental German 70s music for me. This was my first introduction to a lot of these bands, you know, so really this is a kind of really important compilation in that respect. And happily there's been a follow-up which has come out just in the last couple of months or so, Deutsche Elektronische Musik 2, and so they've expanded to include a lot of the kind of German new wave groups like DAF, and you know, this really some really interesting stuff here, particularly some of the kind of stuff from the early 80s, Asmustitions, Zeebrugge. There's some stuff there which is definitely kind of proto-techno, you know, really kind of ahead of its time. And so yeah, that's from Soul Jazz Records as well. Now here we have a record which has gotten a lot of attention lately. It's just come out recently. It is Who's That Man? A tribute to Conny Plank, and it's actually the CD that you hear playing in the background. So it's 4 CDs of Conny Plank's, you know, a lot of the music that Conny Plank produced over the years. At the moment that is CD 1, so that is Michael Rother, Groenland, playing there at the moment. And this is out again on Groenland. I'm not sure how to pronounce it actually. Groenland, yeah, Records, and I bought this directly from their website, and you know, it's quite pricey from a lot of on a lot of the sites that I looked at on the web, but the Groenland site I think is the best value, is the least expensive option. So you know, this is a real collector's item as well. I don't think it's been released on vinyl. CD is the only format that it's been released on. And the interesting about this is it's a real companion piece to the 2 Soul Jazz compilation albums, because you know, a lot of the same acts feature on this, as do on the Deutsche Elektronische Musik compilation. So it's a real interesting companion piece to them, and it's a crucial album for anyone who's remotely interested in, you know, the kind of Krautrock, or whatever you want to call it, experimental German music of the 70s and into the 80s. So it's a really good tribute to Conny Plank and to his pioneering sound. So there you have it.